developer of the Keystone XL pipeline has pulled the plug on the controversial project. This topping our news, making national headlines this morning. TC Energy announced on Wednesday it'll end the pipeline project, saying it had run out of options since President Joe Biden revoked its permit earlier this year. The Canadian company, which had partnered with the Alberta government in March, said it's in the process of safely shutting down the pipeline project and plans to work with all stakeholders, including Indigenous groups, to do that. For more than 10 years, the project was on again, off again as protests and litigation mounted. The Keystone XL pipeline, which would have been under construction this year, was expected to carry 830,000 barrels per day of Alberta oil sands crude to Nebraska.
Perceived workplace grievances pushed a city engineer to shoot and kill 12 people in Virginia Beach, according to a newly released briefing from the FBI. Dwayne Craddock opened fire inside a municipal building in 2019, killing 11 Virginia Beach City employees and a contractor seeking a permit. He died in a shootout with the police. Agents with the FBI's Behavioral Analysis Unit says Craddock, quote, struggled with how he perceived his own work performance and how others at work viewed him. Finding Craddock had an inflated sense of self-importance, pushing him to believe he was unjustly and repeatedly criticized and slighted, and that violence was a way to restore his perverted view of justice. Investigators have a tablet which belonged to Craddock, but have not been able to bypass the password encryption to open it.
President Biden has reversed the Trump administration's effort to ban TikTok. President Biden signed an executive order on Wednesday morning that reverses Trump's attempt to ban the popular video app along with WeChat. The new order also calls for a review aimed at identifying national security risks with software applications tied to China. The Commerce Department will take the lead on an evidence-based analysis of transactions involving apps that are manufactured, supplied, or controlled by China. Officials are concerned about apps that collect users' personal data or have connections to Chinese military or intelligence activities.
As world leaders begin arriving today for the G7 summit in England, President Biden is already there, meeting with Britain's Prime Minister later today. We're expecting they'll announce a new agreement to reopen trade and travel between the U.S. and the U.K. NBC's Tracy Potts has details.
Today's meeting between President Biden and British Prime Minister Boris Johnson will focus on climate change, security, trade, democracy, and travel. The two are expected to announce a new Atlantic Charter, an agreement that includes a task force to quickly reopen travel to and from the UK. Tensions over Northern Ireland could also come up. All this ahead of the G7 summit tomorrow, where President Biden hopes to strengthen ties with America's allies.
The United States is back, and democracies of the world are standing together.
We share the president's emphasis on open societies, open markets, liberal democratic values.
They also share concerns about Russia.
We're not seeking conflict with Russia. We want a stable, predictable relationship.
Mr. Biden's one-on-one with Russian President Vladimir Putin next week will take place at this 18th century Swiss villa. Administration officials expect it'll be long and tense with no agreements. President Biden's critics question his foreign policy.
The Russians are just pushing everybody around in the region, so I'm not impressed with his statements nor his deeds.
The meeting with Russia may address election interference, cyber attacks, human rights, Ukraine, and nuclear capabilities. Tracy Potts, NBC News.